Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being in Soul Talk. Today we have Catherine Miller, and let me tell you a little bit about who she is. Catherine Miller is a passionate wellness professional in the area of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. That I have to search for that because remember, guys, I come from Mexico, so I do not know too much about the geography of the United States. So I have to investigate that part. Sorry about that.
Okay, it's okay.
And by day, she incorporates the wellness and teaches of Reiki yoga. And by night, that's by night, right? And in the morning, you will work with the district, right?
Regular job, yes.
She's a brain tumor survivor, guys. So Catherine is expertise spreading in Reiki, mindfulness, and trauma emotional practices. She's also a Reiki Master Teacher at the Four Directions Wellness in Alexandria, Virginia. She's also a registered yoga teacher specialized in divine sleep and yoga nidra. That I would like to know more about that.
Yeah.
I always having troubles to sleep. And she's also she's in nutrition. Catherine is also certified crystal practitioner, health and wellness coach, energy and sound healing facilitator, and trainer for Holy Fire Reiki. I have not heard about that one too. Honoring as one of the Alexandra's 40s under 40s in the 2020, she empowers self-awareness and healing through her interactive approach. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation for Soul Talk. I really
Yes,
appreciate it.
of course. Thank you so much for having me.
You make several points in your bio that I have not heard.
Okay.
Well, I have kind of heard it, but like I have a niece that she's a fire dancer.
Mm,
It is different than Reiki, I imagine, right?
Yes. Yes.
Can you explain us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So Reiki originally well, I'll start by saying there are lots of different healing modalities, right? A lot of traditional cultures have their own forms of healing and energetic practices. And so what I practice with Reiki is derived from Japan, about 100 years old. A man named Dr. Usui received it while going on a spiritual fast. Now, again, he was trained in other modalities as well, right? So he was already trained in energetic healing modalities to begin with, but kind of received and devised this energetic healing practice that works across all levels, as I like to say, all levels of our being. So, right, we don't just have this physical body, we have our emotions, right? We have our mental health and well-being and our spiritual health and well-being. And so Reiki helps all those levels of what we are. It translates to universal life force energy. So again, right, if we're familiar with some other healing modalities, right, in traditional Chinese medicine, or you think of Qigong, right, we refer to Qi as that life force energy that's within all of us. If we think about yoga and Ayurveda, right, we talk about the prana, that life force energy. And of course, there are other terms in different cultures as well. So I like to say it's kind of similar, right? Sometimes if we know about it in one place or kind of culture, then it's a little easier for us to perhaps understand. And so with Reiki, we use our hands. We are able to sense the energy. It can be done in person. It can be done from a distance. Your hands can be on or off the body, kind of working on the aura. And I first experienced it after having a successful craniotomy to remove my brain tumor, and then actually practiced volunteering in a local hospital in the DC area. and really saw how truly how powerful and helpful it was, before completing my Reiki Master training and beginning to teach with Mara at Four Directions Wellness.
That is so interesting. Yes, I am a master Reiki,
Mhm.
but I have never heard about the fire Reiki or the other one. It was the spans Reiki.
So wait, what was that last one?
Spans. Catherine is practicing spans Reiki.
I'm trained in the Usui
Ah,
system of Reiki and the Holy Fire Reiki.
only fire Reiki.
Yes. And so Holy Fire Reiki is, um, there are lots of different forms of Reiki from what Dr. Usui first, kind of first brought to Japan, and then it spread throughout the world. And Holy Fire Reiki is a little bit newer. It was developed and kind of practiced through a man named William Lee Rand, and Holy Fire Reiki is very effective, very powerful. Um, it's a it kind of works more directly and individually, especially for those going through the training, in terms of kind of how they receive the Reiki. So it's really good for your intuition, kind of healing exactly what it is that you need. So I've practiced both. I've seen both be very effective. Um, and of course, right, as you know, as you said, right, you also practice Reiki, so you know that there are these different styles and types, and that they all are just so beneficial.
Yes, there are even more than that.
Yes, yes.
Right now, I'm taking two that are very different. Two trainings with Reiki. One is Galactic, and
Hmm.
well, both of them, the ones I'm studying are Galactic Reiki, and so there are thousands and thousands just
Yeah.
Reiki. Forget about the other modalities. That if you want to learn all the modalities that humans have right now, it's impossible. It,
Yes.
it is too many modalities. And just in Reiki, you will take one life.
Yes, yes.
And but can you please tell us a little bit of the benefits of Reiki?
Mm,
Because the ones that have experienced a session with any of the Reiki practitioners that they exist, they kind of know.
yeah.
But there's many people that have never practiced, that have never gone to a practitioner of Reiki. So please,
Sure. So, again, as I talked about, right, it kind of works across our whole being. I think, and specifically when I was in the hospital, we really like that was where I really saw it at first. But of course, see it now as well with students and with clients. Um, Physically, Reiki can be really good for bringing about relaxation. It can be very helpful for de-stressing. Um, Especially in the hospital, it was helpful for pain relief, right? A lot of times people were there for whether it was surgery, right, an injury, something was going on, some type of transition in their life, or, some kind of accident or trauma may have happened to their body. And so Reiki was really helpful to um, reduce pain levels, perhaps even in the short term, but still reduce pain levels. Sometimes this would be on its own, or perhaps, right, coupled with the Western medication that they were receiving. So it was really nice to see that the blend of the two, Eastern and Western medicine, together. Um, Emotionally, Reiki can help us kind of more greatly examine our emotions, right? So, why am I really upset, right? Why am I really feeling this way, right? Is there some kind of root, or is there something from my past that's coming up, right? Like what is really behind this? Um, it can also help just to generate more love and care for ourselves, for towards others, perhaps something doesn't bother us as much as it used to anymore. And same for right us on a mental level too. Um, Again, with where we are mentally, Reiki can also again be really great with helping us to relax and de-stress. And sometimes that looks like falling asleep. I don't know if you've experienced that with any of your training or sessions, Monica, but sometimes people just, right, what they really need is to rest, right? And it's that very deep rest that a lot of times we don't get. Reiki also helps with our intuition. So Reiki can really help to strengthen our intuition, especially as we continue to work with it, or perhaps being able to recognize what our intuition is saying, right? All of us have this intuitive gift and ability, but a lot of us aren't really trained on how to use it. A lot of times, people may say, oh, a mother has a great intuitive ability, perhaps just because she has children, but everybody has this too. And so Reiki kind of helps I like to see it as, your body may be speaking to you, right? Your intuition may be speaking to you. And when we spend more time in silence, or we spend more time actually paying attention to it, right? It's like we're finally able to see that it's been calling out to us this whole time. It's just like you would a loved one, right? The more you pay attention to it, you probably notice and observe it more, versus if you were to ignore it, the opposite would happen. I think I forgot this one for emotionally, but Reiki also kind of helps us to transmute our emotions, right, into creating things. So I always use the example, we've probably all seen great artists or the people behind social movements, right? They took some emotion and they created something with it, right? They didn't just sit in the anger. They didn't just sit in the sadness or the grief. They created something from it, because we're all designed to create in whatever way that looks like to us. And so Reiki can help with that too. And then spiritually, our spiritual self is who we truly are. And that we can also just help to create, kind of move from a non-judgmental approach and just really move in this space of love, care, trust, compassion towards ourselves, towards others, towards situations. And just to Reiki can help us kind of figure out what our spiritual path is, where we are on our spiritual journey, and help to support that. Because right when we're kind of moving from more of our spirit self, right, that really does ripple out into our thoughts, into our emotions, into how we show up physically in the world. And Reiki gives us whatever it is we need on any given day. So even though sometimes people may come in for something on the physical level, what they may leave with is something on the emotional, mental, or spiritual level, because maybe that's what they truly needed, right? And then that will have that ripple effect out.
In my experience with Reiki, that was one of the first modalities that I learned. But in a way, I teach shadow work. I create a system of transformation, and I do Reiki. The table of Reiki, I already put it away. I don't even use it. I go more into that level, and in there, that's where I do the Reiki.
Mm.
So I created my own modality in Reiki. Well, not only me, but my guide. I am a master teacher that I teach also that. But so my experience in Reiki, even it is very good more into the physical level, because that's what I have noticed in the physical level. There are pains I have seen change. I have seen miracles
Mm.
in the physical level in the human being.
Yeah.
In the emotional level, they don't come with we don't come with instructions. No human being when we're born is like, here's the manual for Monica or for Catherine.
Mm.
We don't have that.
No, we don't. I wish we did. It would make life so much easier.
We go for the veil of forgiveness. So we don't even remember who we were and what we're
Mm.
here.
Mhm.
So that it is a lot of inner work that we have to go through. So like that we can find who we are and what is our mission, and all our magical gifts that come online, because every single human being have those magical gifts. And I totally agree with you. More that we believe in ourselves and we practice and exercise that muscle in the way of the intuition, it's just
Mhm.
going to become stronger and stronger and stronger. Because if we're always self-doubting ourselves, even if you have the intuition, you should not go out, or you should take the umbrella. We say, I know I don't need the umbrella. And you just go out and boom.
I literally tell my students that. I'm like, if you've ever had that feeling, I said, just take the umbrella. Just take it. right? We're not, I don't want to say we're like testing our intuition, but just lean into that, right? What harm is it going to do? And if anything, you're probably going to be happier if you bring the umbrella than if you don't.
Not only that, because you start to validate your own intuition, because that's
Hmm.
help us to believe in ourselves, in our own
Yes.
magical gifts that everybody have.
Yes.
Like what we're teaching in a way, you or me or many of the teachers that we're teaching, we're just reminding people what
Yes.
they already have in themselves. We're not
Yes.
putting something in them.
No, exactly. They've had it all along. And it is interesting. And I don't know if you've experienced this. It is interesting. The majority, I would say, of my students have said that they've always kind of had this feeling, right? That they were, some people, may use the word different, or they feel like their intuition was always speaking to them, but they didn't, know what to do with it. Other people come in there, they say, oh, yes, like my intuition is very strong. But it seems as if a lot of people are really starting to, whether they knew it before and now it feels a little safer, for people to talk about and discuss. But it seems like a lot of people reference when they were younger and they've had different experiences, right? Or their intuition was speaking to them, but they just kind of either didn't know what to do with it, or, something like that. It's like everyone kind of maybe had these moments, and we either can lean into it, right? Or maybe our families or our community may kind of help us lean into it, or the opposite happens where people kind of
Close
shut
it.
it down, right? People may tell you, "Oh, that's not real," right? Or I don't believe that. And you're just like, "But I know it's true. I know it's true." And it definitely makes it harder if you're young, right? And no one's listening to you or supporting that gift.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And if you have been feeling stuck where you are right now, or if you have felt that you cannot connect with others in the same language or the same emotions that you're feeling, if you're a coach, a healer, energy worker in any of those branches, maybe this is for you. Because we have felt the disconnection for the rest of our family, friends, that we cannot connect to them. And we're so afraid to actually go deep dive when we're getting triggered by our own clients because we're seeing our mirror image with them. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and that's my spiritual name. And I take clients from feeling confused and feeling stuck to feeling free, to feeling that they feel empowered from themselves. I created a system, Path to the Heart, that goes in 3 levels. And the first level, it is healing the inner child, healing the parts of us that we've been so afraid or it's very painful to do it. I have done it myself, not only with me, and I have done it with many of my clients that I take them to this process. The second level, it is to go more into inner self, clearing the family lineage, to breaking the contracts and vows, learning deeper more about the laws of the universe. And the third level, it is learning how to channel, how to do waking up your and getting online your gifts, your unique gifts that the world so much needs right now. So, if you wanted to know more about this, I am eager to show you and to teach you all what I know that I use every day in my life. So, thank you for being here in this page. I really appreciate it. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. If we observe the little kids, all the little kids, they have that intuition and
Yes.
that magic in their hands everywhere.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, part of the programming it is to forget
Yeah.
how magical human beings are. That we
Hmm.
are so creative, that we have that touch, that we can heal with our hands. You can see a
Hmm.
2-year-old, a 3-year-old, like, let me heal you, and their hands in there. And until an adult say, no, you cannot do that.
Hmm.
And that's when we lose all that
Yeah.
magic that we all are inherit. that magic,
Yes.
just for being human being.
Right. And it's interesting too when you bring up right, little kids and children, and people acknowledge all the time that, a mother can hold their newborn, right? And maybe the baby's not feeling well, and it's like all the baby need, right? Maybe the baby's crying. All the baby needs is a mom to hold him, and it's like it just fixes everything. So it's just interesting that, I think a lot of people are very aware that in those situations, it works. And it's almost like, well, the rest of us have it too. The rest of us do have it too. And so I have found that, it'll even be things where you talk about the intuition, like I'll be, heading out to, run an errand or maybe head to a meeting, right? Or maybe I have to go into the office for the day, and I'll just kind of get that little message like, don't forget this. And usually it's like, where did that come from? Because, I'm scrambling, trying to do a couple things at once. And I think when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. But now every time it happens, I'm like, oh, okay. It's talking to me, right? It's reminding me. It's just trying to help me not be stressed, right? When I get out the door and then I have to come back inside. So it is, that's a kind of more daily practice, but there are other times, of course, where it has been really helpful in some really serious moments or some kind of like major decisions that need to be made. Um, and sometimes then it's a little calmer. It's not like a reminder, but it's a kind of just calmer message or voice.
And tell us a little bit about the Divine Sleep Yoga Nidra, because
Mm,
the majority, and right now with the energies that are coming in into the planet, the majority were having issues to sleep.
yes.
So,
I feel like especially these past couple months, I've heard from a lot of people, their sleep has just been it's been off. And so Divine Sleep Yoga Nidra, it's a particular style of this yoga nidra practice. So um uh yoga nidra, as I learned it, translates roughly to meaning yogic sleep. And so they say about 20 minutes or so of it equates to 2 or 3 hours worth of sleep. And so you kind of move through, once again, the different layers of our being. Um, and the practitioner guides people through um, almost just like this meditative practice, um, through these different layers. And for some people, they stay awake the whole time, right? They're very cognizant, very conscious the whole time. Other times people just fall asleep. And sometimes we're also going through the different uh, brainwave states as you go through this. And so there is one point where sometimes you get to this kind of cool place where you are asleep, but you're aware that you're asleep.
the Theta level.
The what?
Theta level.
Yes, theta level. Yes. So it's happened to me a couple of times where I'm asleep, but I'm hearing everything that's going on. It's this very kind of like out of body experience. But it can be so healing for people. I've seen it be really healing for people who have experienced trauma, um, or perhaps things like assaults. It can be really healing for them and for their bodies. But I think for everybody, right? We all, as you said, there's so much just going on, like everywhere all the time. And that really can weigh on us, even if we think we're fine because we're just watching it from beyond a screen. And so yoga nidra, right, while different, but helpful just as Reiki can be, right, to kind of help us rebalance ourselves, help us to just kind of get back to who we are, kind of outside of all the noise of everything else.
Yes, I work a lot in Theta level. I am a BQH, that is hypnotherapy, and also NLP, neuro linguistic programmer.
Okay.
And you can use a lot to go into that Theta level, so you can
Yeah.
program in the program, and and move, and basically you're in the operative system of the human being,
Hmm.
that's the subconscious, and that's where all the traumas and everything is stored, in the subconscious. And we learn different modalities so we can actually work in that level in the subconscious. We can remove limiting beliefs. We can
Mhm.
move and change for a positive ones at the same time. So that is
Mhm.
very, very helpful for everybody to do it.
Yes.
Do you teach people to Reiki, or how do you work?
Yes. Yeah. So through the Four Direction Studio in Alexandria, like you mentioned, I teach Reiki classes. So currently I'm teaching Reiki level 1 and level 2. Mara Benner is the owner, and she teaches level 1, 2, and Reiki Master. And then I also work with clients as well. But so through each class, so for Reiki 1, we do it as a 4-week training, and for Reiki 2, we do it as a 4-week training. The Reiki Master level is about 9 months. But I like it because it gives the students an opportunity to really experience their own self Reiki practice, right? To learn the material, to really have that experience with it, um, as opposed to maybe just giving them the material and then kind of letting them out into the world, which while this does work for some people, it doesn't always work for everyone. And so as much as I enjoy doing Reiki, I really do love working with students as well, because, they say I've always heard teachers say this, but it really is the truth, right? When you work with students, you are still learning. They just to see their experiences, their growth, right? To kind of see them have those aha moments, and especially to see how perhaps they're nervous, right, at first to practice Reiki, and then to see their confidence grow, is really, really fulfilling work. And it's just nice to see that transformation within them, even over a period of a 4-week class.
Do you work also online or is only in person?
Mm. Yeah, so our classes, the majority of our classes are online, so they are virtual via Zoom. So they are available for people, around the country. I usually do teach on like a weekday evening. So of course, right, just being cognizant of that time difference potentially. But we did find that especially during the pandemic, it was um, a bit easier to open it up virtually so that people could join from wherever, right? And we could still have a sense of that community,
That,
no matter what's going on.
and not only that, we can reach and every single
Yes.
part of the world, not even
Yes.
in the United States. I have clients from New Zealand, from Australia,
Mm,
from all over. So it's actually the pandemic is that it brought us a lot of pain, but also it connects us to the world.
agreed. Agreed. It absolutely did. And we still do in-person classes on occasion. I do know that sometimes, there is that benefit in the teaching, doing it together in person, but it does still work from a distance. I'll say in the DC area, if we're doing it online, we really don't have to worry about the commute. The commute, there's usually bad traffic. We don't have to worry about that. But it still is really nice that we're able to bring everyone together no matter where they are. And they all still have this opportunity to learn, and, also just be able to connect people who may not be in the same neighborhood. I think that is also a really nice piece too, as you said, like we're building this community, and it can be from all over.
And I would like also to talk about many people. Every time I tell them, "Hey, I do all this work because I do many things online," and they say, "Oh no, I prefer to do it in person, or you're too far
Mm,
away." And I would like to talk with you about that part because energetics they are transmitted
yes.
online. It doesn't matter if you have the person in front of you in a camera or they just tell you, "Help, send me Reiki," you know.
Hmm.
And
Yes. So it is, and I find this sometimes even with clients where they would they're like, I don't know if I trust it from a distance. They're like, no, I want it in person. And so I do understand, especially perhaps, if it's maybe your first time doing Reiki, I can understand that people are skeptical. I've even seen people be a little skeptical in person too. Um, but yes, energy, it does transmit via, via the internet, via Zoom. Again, right, I'll go back to the example of, I'm sure we've all heard stories of, a mom or a sibling or a loved one, just kind of, maybe waking up in the middle of the night or just having this feeling like something's wrong with so and so, right?
Mhm.
They aren't in the same household anymore. Maybe they're across the country, maybe they're overseas, far apart from each other, but people would just kind of get that little intuitive message, right? And sometimes, a lot of times it's like they'll call or something will happen and they'll realize, that they got that message for a reason. And so just as we can believe in that, we can also believe, right, that this energy can exist in that same way. So when we're learning, when we're sending it to each other virtually, it really does work. I will tell you, I've had people in different time zones. I've had people in different continents that I've worked with, and they will say it feels like I am right there with them. So much of our work is about that intention, right? And how we as a practitioner show up, right, to hold this intention in this space for our client. But this energy it exists kind of outside of our understanding of time and space. It is in everything and it will give people what it is that they need. And it doesn't matter if we're right next to them, right? Or if they're halfway across the world.
And something that I want to clarify to everybody, with Reiki, there is no way that you can do harm to
Mm.
someone else. Can you explain why, please?
Mm. Yes. So again, the way I was always taught, one, we always ask for consent, because this work is just as I tell people, you wouldn't want someone to just come up on the street, and just kind of touch you or come into your little personal bubble. Those energetics, it still is about respect. And, everyone is on their own personal journey. And so we do want to get their consent. But then through our own practice as the practitioner, with our intention setting, and how we show up, the Reiki, it will not do any harm, as long as as I was taught, as long as like you kind of have those things in place with the consent and the intention, the Reiki will flow where it needs to go. It will do what it needs to do. Um,
How I sense and feel the energy of the Reiki, it goes to like a filter in a way when we are
mm,
Reiki to someone, it goes to source energy, let's put it like that,
yes.
or
Hmm.
that kind of filters. So
Hmm.
it is impossible, like, oh, I'm gonna send to that person being pain. It is just impossible with Reiki
Yeah.
because it goes to the filter of love or
Yes.
support of source or whatever energy you wanna name you wanna put it. So it is impossible to harm another being through any of the Reiki modalities. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
There is one modality of Reiki that doesn't pass through those filters. Am I right?
As far as I've heard, I believe so, yes. But again, there are so many styles of Reiki that I am not an expert. I wouldn't say I'm an expert or familiar enough in. I don't want to misspeak. But yes, I mean, I really have seen Reiki only be helpful for
Yeah.
people, and especially having worked in the hospital when people are really at some of the most vulnerable points, whether it is that person just needs to sleep, right? Maybe they need pain relief, maybe they just need to feel like there's someone there. Sometimes that's right, all people need. But I think I've seen far too many times just the beauty and the miracle that comes with a Reiki session to to doubt it or be skeptical of, all of its possibilities.
I hope one day in all the hospitals, not only over there in Virginia, in Texas, and in Texas we don't have that because there's tons of beliefs and things like that, and I
Mm,
believe many states they're not open to
yeah,
this kind of practice, meditation, mindfulness, right?
yeah.
I hope one day they're open to even teach this in kids as they're teaching math because
Mm,
start changing the world or mindfulness
yes,
to the kids in schools, not only
yes.
history or whatever. They're
Hmm.
They're learning because it is important that the human beings also will go to a next level in evolution, and that will bring it.
Absolutely. We do have at least programs in the DC area where they do have meditation, mindfulness, even some teachers are able to, have yoga come in for the kids, and they have shown how helpful it can be. Um I have a little nephew, and there have been times where we've all just, if we're all together as a family, you know, maybe he's getting a little upset, right? Or maybe just a little too I don't want to say too hyper, but he's getting kind of like he's not able to regulate himself. I'll say, okay, let's everybody put our hand on our belly and our chest, and let's take 5 breaths. And it's amazing, even I think to have the whole family do it, right? And to not just put it on the child, because we all need this, even as adults. We have so much on our plate, but it was amazing to see that he just took those 5 breaths, and then it was like he was able then to continue what he was saying and talk about it, and so it's so wonderful to see that we're introducing this to children at a younger age, right? Because we all know if we're equipped with these tools early on, then we don't have to have people unlearn and relearn or learn new things, right? As an adult, or perhaps they didn't have those coping mechanisms, right? Or those helpful techniques.
And we have to remember that the kids are observing us. They're the next
Yes.
generation after us. So we
Yes.
are the examples. If we're close-minded, our future generations that we're communicating all that close-mindedness, it is going to go to that generation.
Absolutely.
What kind of world we want to create? That's something that we have to be aware because the little ones are observing us. We are the teachers for them, like our
Mhm.
parents were for us, the same
Yes.
way. So I really hope that at least in United States, the whole country is in the same page because apparently the South is not, at least
Mhm.
not Texas, is not so open
Mhm.
like Virginia.
Yeah, I think, I've seen it, some people use it in the hospitals for Reiki, for example, some people use it in perhaps like even for hospice. It can also be used at end of life care, or perhaps like a rehabilitation facility or a step down unit, from a hospital where maybe people have, going like through physical therapy all day long or occupational therapy all day long, right? They may need that to help kind of restore their bodies. So it would be wonderful, right, if we could incorporate this and being able to have it alongside the Western medical techniques that we also know are very helpful. And this is just a wonderful complement to it. I saw this a lot in the hospital, in particular when it came to the opioid epidemic. And sometimes the nurses, they just weren't able to provide more of that pain medication because of the opioid epidemic. So they would bring us in, and it was really wonderful to see that Reiki, right, coupled with perhaps the pain medication that they gave, was able to help the patient relax, right? Was able to help the patient sleep. Um, and of course, we all know when we're sleeping, when we're resting, that's when our body's really able to heal itself, because the body knows what it needs to do. Sometimes we just need to give it a little extra help.
That is great. Hopefully one day the whole nation will,
Yes.
and at least this nation can change and start changing the minds of how we teach our kids because
Yes.
even after the pandemic, my daughter was locked down in high school, and all the kids, and something that I observed, it was the majority of the kids that they were in lockdown, they were in a huge depression. When they start going to
Mm,
school, they start going into anxiety and they start having panic attacks and so forth. And in the school, instead of trying to provide methods of relaxation and so forth,
right.
what they did is like your daughter needs more medication or needs
Mm,
medication and so forth. Instead of using the other kind of methods like just breathing
yeah.
or mindfulness moment, give a mindfulness moment of 10 minutes in high school or something like that, that will be more helpful than creating a Prozac nation.
Yes, yes. Yes, because sometimes yes, it is what that person needs, but it doesn't mean that it's always what everyone needs, or as it's not the only solution. Someone even had told me that I think as a result of the pandemic, their their little team just instituted doing like a just like a check-in, like a as the whole team, but more of like a personal check-in, right? Like how are you doing? What's going on in your life during the pandemic, because everyone was working from afar. And while a lot of teams may do this, it wasn't typical for them, but it was a nice change, right? For us to all get to, I think for them to see each other as people. Um, and and we have heard how just incidents of anxiety, depression, right, panic attacks, things like that have been on the rise across the board, like no matter what age, right, gender, race, it's affecting everyone. And again, it kind of shows we may not have all the tools, people may not have all the tools available, right, or the access available that they need. Um, and so practices like this can be helpful and a great complement, right? Maybe until or if, in case you don't need additional support, right? These can be great, but if you need additional support, you can always breathe. You don't have to pay anybody, to breathe. You can do it whenever you want. You can do it in team meetings. You can do it at school, right? Nobody has to know you're doing a particular breathing technique, but it's just like equipping people and reminding them.
Do you have something that you can share with everybody for free, so like that everybody can practice that at home, like a breathing technique or something?
Mm. Yeah, so actually, so on our website, on the Four Directions Wellness website, so that's four is in the number FOUR, directionswellness.com. We do have a self a self-care Reiki video online on our website. So if you do go to our website, you're able to sign up to receive that video. I lead it, so it takes about 20 minutes or so, and I just kind of walk folks through the different hand positions, explain a little bit about what may be going on in each of these hand positions, perhaps what people may be feeling and what it can help with. And so that can be a really nice way, perhaps, for folks to kind of get introduced to Reiki, perhaps, to how I work, or, talk about Reiki. Um, and, just again, a nice resource to have, because we all need something that we can do for ourselves. Sometimes that means getting out in nature and walking. Sometimes that means taking a nap. Sometimes that means doing our Reiki, right? Sometimes a hot bath or shower or something like that, right? It's all these different things that we have access to. And so we wanted to make this available for everyone.
Do you have any classes coming soon?
Yes, so we do have Reiki classes, level one. I'll be teaching level 1 and 2 through the fall. So registration is open for all of those classes on our website, September, October, November, and December. Again, these are 4-week classes for anyone who is perhaps trained in level 1 and level 2 and is interested in Reiki Master training. Mara also has that available in the fall. And I don't know if it's up yet, but the plan is also that I will also, I believe, be teaching a Reiki Master come January or February, so in the winter as well. So perhaps if you're interested in that, you could, if you wanted to take level 1 and then level 2 in the fall, maybe space it out a little, and then next year take your Reiki Master training. So we have a lot of offerings available online for people to be able to join.
Perfect. Thank you so much, because I think right now the people are ready, and there are many modalities that they need each other.
Yes.
Even the BQH, that is kind of hypnotherapy. They finish with the training, and it's like, okay, if I encounter this, if I encounter that, what else do I do? And
Right.
Reiki, it is a very good one. So you can learn how to relax your client, you can heal your client, because sometimes it is about sending in parts of the body.
Yes.
So like that, we cannot claim, and this is a holistic approach, We cannot claim that we can heal completely,
Right.
but sometimes miracles happen.
Yes, again, it's just kind of being that conduit for, the Reiki to flow through. And I love it too, because I feel like it takes a little bit of pressure off of me as a practitioner, right? Where it's like the Reiki is doing what it needs to do. And I'm just kind of helping it along. Um, and so it is, I don't think I've ever had the same type of Reiki session with any client. Every experience can be so different. And, the sensations can differ from session to session, but there's always something that I think the person takes away from it and gets out of it. Um, and so it just to help them along their journey.
That is true. It's been really my pleasure to have you. So
Yes, thank you so much.
before we close down, that you would like to add to this conversation.
Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach us at fourdirectionswellness.com. Again, our sessions, our classes are listed, our individual session opportunities are listed. You can access our video. And then also, if you have any questions, I'm always happy to, even just talk about this with people, because I think that, again, the more that people have an understanding, right, then perhaps the better decision they're able to make for themselves if this is what they want to pursue. But thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful speaking with you. Thank you to all of the listeners. Hopefully this has been informative, but just really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today.
Thank you, Catherine. Her information is going to be on the bottom of this link of this episode, because we
Mhm.
have it also in YouTube, but we have it also in Captivate. So you want to listen, you can find this information down below. So like that, you can get a hold on Catherine. And thank you for being in Soul Talk. And if this was helpful for you, hey, you might find it that some of your friends might. So share it, please. We will appreciate that. And write us a comment. Thank you so much for being in Soul Talk. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love.